ready to go, Dayton? Another episode of the Building Walls podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go.
Episode 91.
That's a Fedorov.
Ooh. Hot take.
Sergei Fedorov.
That was nice. Dude, I'm fired up. You got your Honolulu blue shirt on?
I do.
A Lions cap?
I'm in
Ready to
full
go.
blown Lions gear, ready to make it go. I can't help it. I hate it. I hate the fact that I'm a Lions fan, and it just is what it is. But you know what? One day it's going to be glorious, Chad.
I'm about to have a fantasy draft. I'm taking Swift first. Taking
Devonta.
Amon-Ra, St. Brown second. Big Hawk third. Goff fourth.
When you're getting Goff, I mean, you need Goff.
Dude.
He's going to light it up.
Going for all of them. Taking their defense in the 7th round.
I get Williams.
Yep, taking Williams late. Williams late.
Williams is late. That's your championship right there. You're going to pick him up. He's going to come in. He's going to start catching touchdowns in the latter part of the season. And whoever has that on their team at the end is going to steamroll. The Lions are going to win you fantasy football championships.
You know who I'm not taking? Anybody from the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, because the pack sucks.
I hope Dave is on there.
I swear to God, I hope he's listening. Dave, love
fantastic.
you. But I'm just confused. Why? Pack, go. Right?
Why? Oh, that's great.
Anyway.
All right. I just had to share that on Facebook really quick. That way Dave can see it wherever he is on Facebook.
I shared it too, brother. I want him to see it. We got a special shout out just for him.
That's right. So, Chris, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What is the census report?
Typically, lots of demographics, but most notably, the amount of citizens.
Right.
That's
the
number of people living in the country.
According to the census, the U.S. Census counts every resident in the United States. Oh, so it's every resident, huh? Is that a citizen? I'm almost curious to see.
That is a good question. Does the census do they count non-citizenry?
Or right, because how does that work, right? If you're a non-citizen and you're illegally in the U.S.
Taxpayers or non-taxpayers?
That's very interesting to know. But my thing is there's no way that they count illegals, right?
I mean, I don't know if they do or not.
Because if they do, would they have to report that to anyone?
Let's see here. I mean, maybe it's just counting. Yeah. What is this? The Pew estimated the total population to be 11.1 million in 2014, which is the
what do you
number of illegals? There? Is that what that is, TA?
This is from census.gov. Unauthorized immigrants are included in the population counts.
I like it.
That's
very nice. So, the census report, what do they have? I think the last report, it was like 335 million, right? Something like that. I don't know. But it's a lot of people. 350 million people. So the national debt is now 92,000 per citizen, they say, right? National debt, 92,000 per taxpayer, correct.
Yeah.
So now I'm wondering, where do they come up with these numbers, right? Because if the census is residents and non-residents, well, I guess you can be a non-resident and pay taxes. But what part of that is included in illegals?
Yeah, that would be interesting to know because you get the sense that the whole point of them not being documented citizens is that they're not paying federal taxes, probably not paying state taxes. Maybe I would be interested to know if you had like a job where you work in a city where they take taxes for the city out of your paycheck. I know
Mm,
they do that in the city of Detroit. So if you work inside the city limits, there's a city of Detroit tax.
that's only if you're getting paid through
Proper means.
yeah,
Yeah.
proper means. It's not under the table or anything. But if it's 92K per citizen, like the one thing that I always think about is why are we continuing to increase that national debt? $92,000 per citizen. How quick do you think someone could pay off a $92,000 loan on top of everything else that they already have going on?
I mean, and that's if it doesn't calculate, interest that's, accruing all along the way.
Right. And if this is the case, why are we like giving money to people who aren't included in that count? Why is California, they give money to whoever or someone who comes across illegally and, they were getting stimmy checks and things like that. It doesn't make any
Uh,
sense.
I'll put it this way, that if you do the math on it, on a 10-year term with 0% interest, 92,000 equates to $767 per month
Wow.
for 10 years. And I got to imagine that's a big chunk. That's like, people's cars and their
That's a
insurance.
nice car payment. A nice car payment.
That's a real nice car payment. But yeah, you're talking about, so just round down, just say 750. But you're tacking on
It's a good credit
$750 a
score.
month. Yeah, just for what? What am I think people would act differently if that's how it was paid. Like you had to stroke a check every month for $750. I think people would be like, what is this for again? What are we doing?
But not only would they think differently, do you think people would vote differently?
Well, I think the rhetoric around the voting would be very different.
Right. How do you come into office when you're like, you know what? We're not going to increase taxes directly, but that payment that you pay to us every month, that $750, pretty soon it's going to be 8. Like, but believe me, it's for a good cause.
By the way, that was not 750 per household. That's per citizen.
Right, per person. Ooh,
per person.
That's very true.
So
I got a family of 4 here.
Yep, you got a family of 4, so that's
$3,000.
I've got $2,250 in my household,
and that's on a 10-year term with no interest. When China charges us interest, Japan charges us interest.
Yeah, even if you took like 92,000 divided by 360 payments, that would take it down to 255. That's a 30-year term. So not adding any new money to the budget
per person,
paying off only what you have per person, it's $255
per person. Now, obviously, they're never going to do that. But think about what if China comes calling, right? Japan, whoever. What if all those places where money is owed, they come calling? Just like a bank does, just like a bank can do, according to most of those mortgage contracts, if it comes to hard economic times. There's typically a clause in every contract in a mortgage that says, pretty much at any point we can come calling because of X, Y, and Z. Just scary.
Right.
So what is
it's like a balloon payment. Like this is due upon receipt. Like you owe all of this now.
I guess as long as the government's there to give us $10,000 back. But anywho, I digress.
Oh, we're gonna go there early.
No, so let's talk about some other crazy stuff.
The line.
we all love the Lions. That's not crazy. They're winning the Super Bowl. But there's a CNN article from a guy. It says analysis was by Chris Isidore. I don't know what his name is. Don't really care, to be honest with you.
Yeah, right. From Lord of the Rings.
That's literally what I thought when I said it. So there's an article written by CNN that's talking about the crazy gas price savings. Yes, gas has gone down quite a bit in the past few months here. And he says, you know what? Next time you stop at a gas station, this is in the article, think of it as $100 a month tax cut.
Jeez.
Is that what it is?
Come on.
Because gas went up $3 or whatever it was in total, and it's still up $1.70 more than it was when Biden took office. Why are we celebrating this as a gas price decrease?
Dude, that's the thing. It needs to be, the metric needs to be the measurement from the point that he took office. The decisions he made in office in line with his his party, who is in control of the Congress and the House. These people, their choices have ramifications. The same way they don't like it when that they they say elections have consequences. Then this is it. This is what happens when you vote and these people change the economy and try to change the entire energy sector, if you will. And when that happens, you're going to pay more. You're going to pay a lot more.
So let me ask you this. Why did the Biden administration have nothing to do with the gas price increase, but now all of a sudden they have everything to do with the gas price decrease?
It goes to $5, right?
Yeah.
$5.
$5.
How much is the average tank, do you think?
Are you over there texting?
I was trying to look up something, and my client keeps texting me. I was trying to look up the profits actually from the oil companies, because that seems to be a big sticking point. I was going to bring up is like, well, how do these people all, the gas prices go way up, and then it's all percentage based. That's the part that Democrats don't understand. That's what I don't understand. How, for the life of me, Chad, I can't understand why people don't rationally understand just percentages. If you're charging a $2 for something and you're getting a 10% tax, and you raise that something to $5, how much increased taxes are you getting? Well, it goes from, in that case, it's going to go from 20 cents to 50 cents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, profits work the same way. Profits are on percentages. They're built into the cost. So if they're selling something at $2, or if it costs them $1.50, they add in, let's say they want to make 9%, or better yet, let's say they make 12. Okay, so they're going to charge, 12 cents on the dollar, essentially, for making more money. They're going to make more money. It's like this graphic here: supply and demand. And when the price goes up, whatever the price is, it's built off of the supply, and they try to find that equilibrium there for maximum velocity through, customers, people getting the maximum amounts that they want people going as much as they can. Because if you look at it and say, hey, they're going to drive, 100,000 miles, right? Or not even, let's just say the average person drives 10,000 miles a year. And they know how much gas that's going to take for each person to do that. How much profit are they going to make on each gallon of fuel? And based on how much money they want to make, they try to get it into the sweet spot to where maybe people drive 15,000 miles. right, and consume more. That means the demand is going up. And when the demand goes up, then they can trigger down the supply and they control that price, that lever. I don't know if that's making sense. I'm looking at this chart, and I mean, it's bringing back a lot of Econ 101, and I'm trying to give like real numbers. I should have done like an example and sent it to TA, but yeah, the whole idea behind this too is people go, but they're BP and Amoco and all these other companies are making so much money now. I'm like, yes, because you messed with their supply. If a third party comes in and limits, like you look at that blue line, and if a blue on the supply chain there, and if a government, i.e. a third party, comes in and limits supply, what happens to price? It goes up.
According to the supply and demand curve, it goes up.
Yeah. So,
I mean, this is like literally, it's one of the simplest theories, I guess you can call it, right? In all of economics. Like, you ask an economist to show you a supply and demand curve, and it should look something just like that. And as you follow a supply line, as supply becomes higher along that, right? Or as supply goes up, price hold on, geez, I'm so stupid right now. I'm confusing myself out of this
supply
thing.
Goes up, price goes down.
Right. As supply goes up, price goes down, and vice versa. So when, like you said, the government, when Biden took over office, and they decreased supply by shutting off what was the pipeline called? Whatever it was. Keystone XL, right? So they decreased supply. So when you decrease supply, price is going to go up. Price goes up because demand goes up. Right? Because now people want more of something they can't have. So those two, supply and demand, are adversely related to each other. And that's what's so great about a free market, is when the government takes itself out. The government takes itself out of everything. The free market always finds equilibrium. It might take a year, it might take a day, it might take 10 years. But at some point, right, the free market will always find equilibrium. That's what's so great about the free market.
Every time. It's the third party interjections that mess, make it no longer a free market. We're going to have a good conversation about this later, actually, when it comes to the education part. I've got some controversial thoughts, I think.
Nice. So first, I just want to play another Real Man of Genius clip.
Let's go.
They're so good.
Bud Light presents Real Men of Genius.
Real Men of Genius.
I just love the song mostly. That little jingle is so great.
Oh man, that's so good.
Watching that guy
so
just
good.
Biffs it. Just eat the ground. I would say the turf, but it's not turf. So good.
That is the Real Men of Genius.
So much better on video here.
Speaking of supply and demand, this rant should be right in this whole show could be called Supply and Demand.
Well, let's do it.
The rant.
I was waiting for my LTD intro for my upline over there.
Yep.
LTD. So this is, I see stuff like this, and it's, so Robert Reich puts out a tweet the other day. Robert Reich's a very wealthy individual. As a matter of fact, let's see here. Robert Reich, hold on, that's not him, is it? It's the same dude. He doesn't look like it, but I think he was a former Secretary of Labor, right? I mean, this guy's been in the government sector. Like this guy makes pretty good money. This guy's been around politics all of his life, and he comes out and in the name of social justice or whatever you want to call it, Robert Ray says, when you factor in the length of their respective seasons, the average NBA player makes 44 times what the average WNBA player makes, all while playing the same game. Hence why Griner and other WNBA superstars play overseas in countries like Russia to supplement their income. So now the crazy thing is the NBA's revenue is $10 billion approximately. The WNBA's revenue is $70 million. So the NBA brings in 143 times more revenue. So according to that, if we're looking at this being purely revenue based, players in the NBA theoretically get paid less than what they are worth. So I mean, if we're just going to look at the straight numbers of it, right? NBA players get paid less than what they're worth. They should get paid more. If your argument's going to be based on, how much they make, I mean, where does that money come from? You have to say, if we're going to talk about an argument about how much someone makes, who pays them? Where does the money come from, right? So if the NBA salary is 143 times more, but the difference in pay is only 44 times more, that's almost 100 times difference from one to the other. So does that mean, LeBron James should get paid $100 million a year instead of 50? Would that help make it more equal? Is that equality now? Because you can't get paid money unless you bring in money. Just any sales role in the US, if you get paid commission, if you sit there and don't make any money all day, every day for the company that you're working for, are they going to pay you? No. But if LeBum's jersey sells way more than Brittany Griner's, then don't you think he should probably deserve to get paid more? Because he sells more for the company that pays him, which is the NBA. So if you want to get paid more, put a better product on the floor. Or should we integrate NBA and WNBA? Again, I'm not bashing the WNBA. Those female athletes are fantastic basketball players. But if we're going to compare them, then why don't they play each other for the championship every year? Well, because the worst team in the NBA would destroy every team in the WNBA. Like, this is totally intellectually dishonest from someone who knows better. This is the race baiting or whatever you want to call it. Like, wake up. This isn't. I love the last part of the tweet from the picture there. And they say, economics is hard. It's literally not hard, right? Supply goes up, price decreases, as does demand if it goes beyond equilibrium. Demand goes up, supply goes down. Price increases because there's more demand, less supply. Just like the housing market. There's less homes on the market. There's more buyers. Now everyone's fighting for the same home. So what happens? People pay $30,000, $60,000 more than what the home's worth. But then you get to a point where there's not as many buyers in the market, or interest rates increase, causing not as many buyers to be able to afford homes, right? Thus depleting the buyer pool. So demand goes down, but supply stayed the same, but demand still dropping further than what the supply is. Therefore, what happens to price? Price goes down because those people need to be able to afford those homes. And the free market always finds equilibrium. The free market will always find equilibrium if we let it. The challenge is everyone wants to play God. That's all there is to it.
My man. Hell of a rant.
Man.
You said something in that rant that was the crux of everything. It's
LeBum?
Yeah, no.
Oh.
It was that people think they deserve to be paid. Yeah. What makes people think they should deserve it?
It's because they're a human on Earth.
Yep.
The Bible says you don't work, you don't eat.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get to that too.
Let's move on here. We got a good news story.
If you love grapes,
yeah. Wholesome story here. If you love grapes, good luck for you. Eating grapes will lengthen the lifespan, it says, of mice that eat high-fat diets. So the hypothesis is if you eat a lot of fat foods or fast foods, geez, Freudian slip there.
Right.
If you eat a lot of fast food, well, you can supplement that with some grapes.
Does it say what kind of grapes? Do they have to be green grapes, red grapes?
Hopefully it's any kind of grapes.
Sweet grapes? Does it mean that you can just like ferment the grapes and then drink wine?
I mean, it shows a picture of some nice grape-colored grapes.
Grape
By the way,
grapes.
Why is the color grape purple?
I don't know. It's kind of weird.
You can have green grapes, red grapes. Did you ever think about that? Why is the color grape purple?
Can't say that I did.
Man.
I've never really contemplated that. It's not one of my things. What does this say? You're going through like the actual article.
He's doing his due diligence, unlike me.
What do you think? Yeah, what do you think, Chad? Should we drink more grape juice, or do we actually have to?
Oh man, I think you gotta eat grapes. If you've ever looked at a label on a juice box, good lord, there's more sugar in there than there is in a can of pop.
That's why the kids love it.
The Midwest, they call it soda around here, or Coke.
Soda pop.
Coke. You want a Coke?
Hey, are we going to do our segment on Hard Knocks? Are we going to talk about the Lions?
Maybe once we get to the end here.
Okay.
Because we got some good stuff coming up. On Chris's Corner. This is going to be good.
All right
there in the corner.
Thanks for tuning in.
Nobody puts Chris in the corner.
Baby's in the corner. I'm hydrated. I'm ready to go.
So, first one coming at you. How do you feel about there's a principal in California called the police because a 4-year-old was not wearing a mask and needed to be sent home? It's almost hysterical.
Dude, and it's so weird because these things happen and they get out. And you wonder, have they always happened? And we just now have the ability to post that stuff on social media and it spreads like wildfire because the rest of us normal people would be like, what? Why would you do that? Why? I don't understand. If besides the fact that, okay, we're going back to school, we're doing some different things now, and COVID is pretty much handled. I mean, if that's a news flash to you, then check out the CDC because even you follow the science. People waving that flag. The science now says, yeah, COVID's pretty much handled. Where's the death toll? Where's the death ticker on CNN? Nope, they don't even do it anymore. You know why? Because it's not a thing. So take off your mask. The only people wearing masks should be people who need it for their own personal safety. It's no longer about your neighbor, and kids don't need to be wearing masks. This is the dumbest thing on the planet. A 4-year-old got the cops called on him by a principal because they didn't want to wear a mask. I mean, come on, man. You know what that principal is? He's a complete mask hole.
That's awesome. All right, so here's another one for you. What do you think about the student loan forgiveness?
There it is. It took half an hour to get to this.
I want to hear you roll about this. However you want. What do you think about it?
I have lots of thoughts about it. But of course, I posted on my Facebook page just a very honest question because I'm really struggling with it, Chad. I really having a hard time with why people think this is the ultimate in class warfare. That's what it is. This is a shot fired to people and deciding what kind of country we want to be. Now, on one hand, I'm looking at this from a practicality standpoint. One of the most important questions that the White House actually refused to answer, and I don't know if you saw the clip, but Peter Doocy was just hammering the press secretary, saying, "Who's paying for this?" And she's like, "Well, we think it's going to be a good thing, and we've done a lot, and blah blah blah." And he's like, "Who is paying for this?" Not on the merits of whether or not it should happen or shouldn't happen. Right? It has nothing to do with that. We're not talking about that. We're talking about you are now saying that people are going to be absolved of their, either $10,000 or $20,000, depending on their specific situation. But the estimates of this cost that the Biden administration wants to do are upwards to $500 billion. $500 billion. Like, come on. So who is paying for it? Because that matters. That matters a lot. And there's a lot of people who could pay for it. You know what's not appropriate, in my opinion, is, that it raises taxes. Like, we're in a country, we pay taxes. Those taxes are supposed to cover shared common necessities at the federal level, military, and protection of autonomy of our country, having the borders secure. That's what our taxes are supposed to go for. Making sure that other countries don't come and invade us, right? And at the state level, your taxes go for lots of things like education, public education, the schools. We have a communal approach, this is where I think people are really losing their mind. Is why should I pay for something that is not going to be a benefit in my life? And that's how people feel, because I think it was only like 18% or something like that of people who have student loans of the country. So that means over 80% of the rest of us are supposed to, foot the bill for this. I mean, I don't know what planet that it seems like a good idea. And what's the stop, you and me, Chad, from just racking up and taking out a bunch of money to go do whatever we want to go do. I mean, it doesn't even matter at this point. These people went to school. They wanted to go further and better themselves. And that is admirable in and of itself if they actually did that. Sometimes people go to school and they rack up debt and then they didn't go to class. Who's being absolved of this? Did they have to have a certain GPA? What is giving back to society? If the person has a 2.2 GPA, are they getting their money back? It doesn't make sense to me. There's so many things that you have to do. And how do you look at someone in the eye who busted their ass, worked maybe 2 jobs, got up early, maybe had to deal with, an early family or something like that, and they paid their way. They don't have the debt. So they're just screwed. They're like punished for being responsible. That's I mean, there's been a lot of crazy things over the last, I don't know, decade. Things that have gone on. We can argue, whatever. But one of the most interesting things is people think that education is a right. They think it's a right. It's your right to be educated. And I'm like, I know. That's why we have the public schools. That's why it's handled at the state level and in communities, and that tax base is already taken care of. But going further for education, why didn't you get a company to sponsor you if you didn't have money? Why didn't you work your way through it? Why didn't you say, hey, if I go get a 4.0 in engineering, GM, Ford, would you hire me and pay back my student loans? You can negotiate those things. And by the way, they do that.
I mean, why did the government get involved in student loans 50 years ago when all this increase started? But again, I digress. So let me ask you this: if cue this video here, because I want to know what you think about this, Mr. Dayton. Let's watch this first.
Okay.
I think that the President of the United States has the power for debt forgiveness. He does not. He can postpone, he can delay, but he does not have that power. That has to be an act of Congress.
All right. So good old Nancy Pelosi 1 year ago said the president does not have power to do this. So is student loan forgiveness unconstitutional? And if so, why are all these other welfare programs or anything else that the president pushes forth not also labeled unconstitutional, or anything else the president does, right? If they don't have the power to do this.
Yeah, that is definitely going to be well, here's the can of worms. You're going to like wipe out student loan debt for students. And now you're in the ultimate discrimination case. Right? Think about it. You and I go to school. I take out loans. I charge up $20,000 so I can better myself. I get my degree, whatever, right? You go to school and you pay your way. You work your job, you pay as you go, and we come out, we graduated at the same time, right? So we went to school at the same time. And you have zero debt, and I've got 20,000 in debt because I didn't have the money, or I didn't want to work alongside of going to school and pay my way. Okay, because that's always been an option. It's like in our text here, this like whatever in our notes here, it says it's extremely sad to think, especially in the USA, that people view education and trying to better oneself to be only for those who can, quote, afford it. Everybody can choose to go and afford it. Like, you pay their own way. You might not be able to go as fast if you borrowed the money and took on more classes. You might have to take a less of a workload, but you can still do it, right? How many stories do we have to go find of people who have overcome adversity and graduated with their degree and then gone on to make great things? So I get my money taken care of because the government steps in. How is that fair to you? And more importantly, why are you discriminated against for working? Same time period. So that's going to be important. That's going to be where the discrimination happens. I was in school at the same time as you. You got your money back. I did not. How is that not discriminating against me? And you're going to have every race and every background. Everybody's affected by that. There's not going to be like, oh, well, only, Latinos get their money back. Oh, yeah, that's ripe for discrimination lawsuits left and right. So do I know if it's constitutional or not? I don't know the answer to that. I do know it is going to be in court and somebody's going to sue And you think if it's expensive now, if it was 500, 300 to $500 billion for 18% of the people who have student loans, well, everybody's getting that money. They're going to get sued. And I don't see it happening, to be honest with you. I don't see it happening.
So what do you think about this? Let's say if we weren't in such massive debt as a country, would that change the conversation of stuff like this?
Well, this is the interesting part about it is, are we really in debt? Do you know the answer? Because we are not. The country's worth, the net assets of the country are far exceeding our debt level currently. The scary part is the debt level is rapidly rising. And so it's kind of one of those back and forth where we go, okay, can we afford it? Well, the technical answer is yes. The better question is, should you do that? Because now you're going to put yourself in a position where if you needed to leverage your assets and do other things, you're not going to be able to. It's kind of like if you run your household. If you have your house is worth $300,000, and you've got another $200,000 in the bank. With assets, you're worth $500,000, right? Maybe you carry a credit card of $50,000. That's kind of like what the U.S. is. So could you pay off? Are you in debt? Well, no, you would have to sell your assets and then make it right. And other people are, the debt should be looked at as the opportunity for other people to acquire the value of America. You're leveraging the assets. So I don't think people think of it in those terms. It's kind of like the healthcare. Should we do it? And I think the argument for healthcare is a lot shorter than the argument for college education. Personally.
So, last one here, or not the last one. That was such a 15-part question too. So Biden's out there. If you want to cue this video, makes a statement that Black and Hispanic borrowers don't own a home, or they don't own a home, so they can't borrow against it to pay for college.
The burden is especially heavy on Black and Hispanic borrowers, who on average have less family wealth to pay for it. They don't own their homes to borrow against to be able to pay for college. The burden is especially.
So Black and Hispanic people apparently don't own a home that they can borrow against to pay for college.
It's kind of what I was just talking about. And kind of funny that I referenced, that example of owning a home, having assets and things like that. Because one of the most important things of that equation is you have to take care of your asset, right? So that it continues to grow in wealth. So maintenance, you got to work on your home. You got to do all these things that you have to do. And it's not like a foolproof thing. Like, oh, I bought a house, so I'm automatically going to be able to go up in wealth. I've seen plenty of families that don't take care of their home. In fact, I just went to one in Garden City, and looked at the house, and for the purpose of this conversation, it was a white family who lived there, and it was destroyed. The house was destroyed. They asked me what the value of the home was. I said $52,000. That's what it's worth. And she's like, oh man. And I'm like, well, yeah, it basically needs to be, completely gutted and redone. And you got to look at if it was completely updated and fixed and in pristine condition, it would be worth like $200,000. But it's not. It's worth 50. And so just because, I think it's funny that Biden thinks that just because people are homeowners, that they have all this equity imaginable to just pay for college. Is it one way to do it? Sure. But unless you back that up with some hardcore statistics to say, Black and Hispanic borrower, people who go to college to have student loan debts don't ever end up buying a house and taking care of their home. I mean, that's a bold statement, Mr. President. Care to back that up with some numbers? Because I'm not buying it. Not being a broker here in the state of Michigan, we help lots of people from all backgrounds, all demographics, and people do pretty well. So I'm not sure that that's a basis of the argument that I would go with for discriminating against all the people who were responsible and paid their own way.
All right, so the last one here to wrap it up is California is banning the sale of new gas cars by 2035. How is that going to go?
That's not going to happen. The lobbyists will get involved. There's just no way that that's going to go through. But if it does, then you will see an exodus from California, the likes you haven't seen before. You think that it's bad now? That people would leave left and right. In fact, it's already in a really bad spot. They got all these. They got a lot of homeless problems. Why don't we focus on helping people who really need help? That's actually what I would say, Chad. Have you thought about how much money we spend? How about instead of hiring 87,000 IRS agents, we actually start tackling and finding out and doing re-education centers for the people who are homeless or lost, figuring out what's going on. How can we help these people? What if they don't want to be helped? What are you supposed to do then? But what if they do need help? Because it's just a misappropriation of funds. That's really what it comes down to. Why are you giving all that money away to people who went to college? Why can't you find other working programs that will generate actual wealth for the citizens? But I digress. So no, I don't think that sale of cars by 2035 will gas cars will be happening. I'll see it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Just love listening to you roll like that. One of the things that I will say about the California banning that is Tesla produces just under a million cars a year in 2021. So there's over 39 million people in California. So the amount of cars that Tesla produces times 13 years from now makes, let's say for easy math, 13 million vehicles that Tesla has produced. So if that's the case, I mean, there's still 26 million more people who need to figure out how to get an electric vehicle. Or let's cut that number in half, which isn't true.
What about the attrition?
Right, but let's say that 13 million of those people already have a car. So now there's still 13 million more EVs that need to be produced and working, like you said, working in 2035.
Yeah. Do we even know what the life cycle is of some of these electric vehicles? I don't think we do. Not quite yet. We don't have a real good grasp on it.
Right. So it's like I feel like there's so much that I think you're spot on. I don't think it'll last. I think someone else will come in and remove that bill or whatever it is.
You really think that Ford, GM, every car manufacturer is just going to be like, oh yeah, we're going to lose being able to sell cars in California?
Yeah.
Okay. Can we, before we get to this last part, can we talk about Hard Knocks now?
I knew you were going to say that.
I just want to talk some football. I've got the itch. We're at the end of August.
So what's got you itching about Hard Knocks over there?
Well, I mean, besides the fact that it's our beloved Detroit Lions, I like the coaching staff, man. I'm so fired up about the coaching staff.
Dude, Deuce Staley lost his voice.
That was so funny.
Let's go, guys.
Let's go.
Guys.
You get out there. You dumb fucker. Get out there.
So awesome.
This is unacceptable. Yeah, but man, I think, man, I'm just excited to see. I don't think that they're talented. I think they're the Lions. I think it shows that on the week, on the show. It definitely shows it that they've got problems. It's going to be
They definitely have depth issues.
Yeah. And the NFL stands for not for long, which means that people won't be healthy for long and there'll be injuries.
Yeah.
But I love the ideology, if you will. I think Dan Campbell is good reflection of the fan base of Detroit. Because I see a lot of myself in Dan Campbell. So you got a guy who's, a fan, that if I was in that role would be like, guys, we're right there, casting that vision, letting them know where they're going, holding them accountable and pointing out and saying, this is the stuff that's got to change. Don't dwell on it. You can't get, it's whether you fumbled the ball or we had a chance to intercept the pass to end the game, or we give up the 4th and long on the touchdown. These are all things that are going to happen. Those are the things that got to get cleaned up. And I love that he calls it out. He calls it, he's holding, so he's casting a vision, he's setting a standard, and he's holding people accountable to the standard.
It's
and
great.
I love it.
Great leadership. I love it.
And he surrounded himself with other top tier coaches who are in line with that ideology. And I love it. Because when was the last time you saw that in Detroit? I don't think it's ever been here.
Never.
Wayne Fonts?
Wayne Fonts.
I mean, come on. Wayne Fonts was the last.
He is building a great culture. The one thing that I think that whole coaching staff looks for is, I think the first episode when Dan Campbell was asked about Aiden Hutchinson, and he said, what I love about the guy is if he makes a mistake, he might do it one more time. It might happen to him, but after that, it never happens again.
Right.
Never happens again.
Yep.
He continues to learn and he continues to progress. And that's how they evaluate and look at players. Make a mistake once, cool. You learn. Then maybe twice because you're still in the learning process, but the third time doesn't happen again.
Right. And you got to give that effort. When that offensive line coach was all over, I think it was Easy.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah, they showed him in practice, just kind of loafing around. And, just.
Yeah, you see that. And then the reports from the second preseason game were that was that he was pretty good. So it's like you see how they do with these guys, and then they help these. They're bringing the best out in them, right?
Yeah,
that's what excellent leadership does. It brings out the best in you.
Amen. I love it. I mean, what's awesome. Your take? What's your?
Yeah, I love Hard Knocks. Yeah, dude, I'm on the bandwagon every year, and I never jump off. Every move the Lions make, they can finish the season at 3-14. I don't care. The next year, they're going to make some good moves. They're going to draft better players. And I love Campbell, the whole coaching staff. They're going to have a winning record this year.
I do think it's interesting.
And then they're going to make a movie about it 20 years from now.
The Dan Campbell.
The Dan Campbell experience.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Awesome. Well, thanks for humoring me.
I love it.
I love it.
I'm all on board with Hard Knocks. Dude, I got the first pick in a fantasy draft, though, coming up tomorrow.
So, yeah.
I think I'm going Deshaun Watson first, baby. Got to.
Why not? He's
Keeper league.
If it's a keeper league, there you go. You're playing Cleveland Browns GM right there. I'll trade everything away for the number 1 pick, and I'll take Deshaun Watson. Yeah. So is it a keeper league?
I don't know, to be honest. It's my first year being in this league, so I have no idea.
And you got the number 1 pick.
Somehow I've never had the number 1 pick. I'm kind of nervous.
Don't you normally take a running back number 1 overall?
Typically a running back, yeah. That's what they say. You got to draft running backs high.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm either taking a solid stud running back or I'm taking Travis Kelce. The reason is because there's very few tight ends that put up points like a wide receiver. And wide receivers can make or break your week. Just like running backs normally do so more than receivers. But if you can think about having now a third or fourth receiver every week, that's Travis Kelce.
I mean,
because I think there's a lot of running backs that you can take deep. So it's a snake draft. So coming round 2 and 3, I'm going to have back-to-back picks right in kind of the sweet spot of it all.
So you think you're going to go Kelce number 1 overall. So you lock up your tight end, here's how I always think about that stuff too, is like, I look at it and go, what's the delta between the top tier of a category?
It's huge.
And, there's like 3 guys for tight end that are in that
Kittle, Andrews, and Kelce.
Yeah, that's it. Then there's a big drop off.
Yep.
So if you get that locked up, number 1, and then, because the difference between the 8th quarterback and the 9th quarterback is not that much. Even the 5th quarterback to the 9th quarterback isn't that much. Everybody's going to throw for, 275 to 325 yards, 2-3 touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, I like the logic. It's a bold play, Cotton. We'll see how it turns out.
And then back-to-back picks, rounds 2 and 3, I can take Swift and Amon-Ra. It'll be great. Get back on the Lions.
I mean, what if you took Hawkinson?
Ooh, Big Hawk. I love Big Hawk.
Kelce and Hawkinson. You're running a flex position and a tight end.
Ooh. Flex position. Yeah. There you go.
I would leverage that. I would trade. That's why when I do drafts, I always draft for best available, because then I just take and I draft or I trade for the need that I have.
Right.
Whatever the excess.
I think the biggest thing about fantasy football is finding those 2 or 3 free agents every year who are filling in but are studs.
Yeah.
Because somebody's always going to get hurt.
Yep. We click on the
if
draw.
you can find that stud, right?
Or predict it and have them sit there on your bench.
Right. Which the best example of this is Alvin Kamara. Yep. Saints' top 2 running backs went down a few years ago. I scooped up Kamara in a league. Kamara pretty much single-handedly won it for me.
Boom. Nice.
Because every week he put up 30, 40 points. It was stupid.
Yeah. He was unstoppable. Unstoppable.
And then not for long. And then he got injured following years.
I remember I had Peyton Manning as my quarterback the year that he threw 7 touchdowns on the first opening game. He single-handedly beat the other team I was playing. I had 100 points from Peyton Manning.
Troy.
Well,
hey, I think we'll wrap it up with that. It's a good show.
Love your time, man. I love it.
Appreciate you always.
Appreciate you, buddy. Appreciate TA.
Yeah, TA over there.
Holding strong. How's the Midwest?
The heat is coming back, so I'm not a fan of that. That heat can fuck right off, in my opinion.
Damn.
It's hot. It's not fun.
Dude, now that I'm in Columbia, I love it when people complain about the heat.
Yeah, I think it was 90 degrees today here. So
yeah, it's definitely hot.
It was a toasty one. Right. That's why I was drinking that water. Gotta keep that hydrated. Feel a little dehydrated, but that's all good. I love you, man. Good show. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
Blessed day.
Blessed day. Blessed be the fruit, Commander.
Go in grace.
In just a few weeks' time.
Under his eye.
Under his eye.